What's up? We've made it to the end of this 5-part series about the inner saboteurs in our life that can trip us up and maybe not even ways that we know. If I've pissed you off a little bit in this because it stepped on your toes and cut a little close to home, good. I hope you took me up on that free call that I offered last week. The link will be there again this week. But let's recap real quick. Talked about in week 1 being a perfectionist and you know, perfectionism just being fear wearing a tuxedo, like John Acuff says. And we hide behind not wanting to put our work out into the world. We delay that by just saying it has to be perfect and going beyond, well beyond the level of rigor and editing that it needs to before we send out into the world because we're really just scared that we're hiding behind it. Talked about being the lone wolf or the soloist. Again, we want to just do everything ourselves and we say we do our best work alone. But really, what it is we don't want to admit that we need for help because we feel some sort of inadequacy with something. That was like my number one biggest thing. Then we talked about being natural genius. How if things came easy to you your whole life, and now when life gets complicated, if you get shaky and you're like, who am I? What's wrong with me? Have I been lying to myself all these years? No. Talked about giving yourself grace and giving an honest assessment of everything that's going on in your life. And then last week we talked about being the expert, about being in a place where you say you want to do something, launching a business, side hustle, starting a sport, starting a hobby, and all you do is just read about it and learn about it and go to seminars and sign up for online classes and listen to podcasts about it, but you don't actually do the thing, right? So if you're someone who, you know, just find yourself in that cycle of just continual learning but not actually doing, then that's something that I would love to help you with and chat with you about. So today, as we land the plane on this series of the inner saboteurs, we're going to be talking about the superhero. Now, I mentioned the lone wolf is probably my number one most active inner saboteur. The superhero is probably the second. And what's a superhero mean? Why is it bad to be a superhero? Well, that's great if you're the person that, swoops in to save the day because you are truly the best person to solve that problem. And maybe you helped contribute to the problem being there in the first place. That's not what I'm talking about. The superhero as an inner saboteur is when you jump in, feet first, hair on fire, going Mach 6 to solve a problem that might not be your problem to solve. Being the superhero, the inner saboteur superhero, is when you jump in to solve everybody's problems when it might not even be your problem to solve. Why is that a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing to want to help people? Well, like I said, this is a very nuanced one. If you are truly the best person to solve that problem, cool. Jump in and by all means help. But be honest with yourself. If you say that, I feel like I'm always jumping in to solve problems, are you doing it because you're truly the best person or because you love that dopamine hit that you get and it feels like now maybe you have value and maybe the team or the relationship, will just hold on to you. If you can solve enough problems, then maybe, you'll have some kind of worth. Again, these might be stepping on your toes. I get it. But that's where growth happens. That's where when we start admitting these things that we need to work on, that is where real growth happens. So if you find yourself just always jumping in and solving the problems and you're the person that's at work until 9:30 p.m. and the janitor mistakenly shuts the lights off on you like most days of the week, you need to really start evaluating, am I truly the best person to solve this problem, or am I just trying to give myself value and make myself feel better because maybe there's some deep-seated lack of confidence in whatever area this is. So real quick recap, talk about the perfectionist, the lone wolf, the natural genius, the expert, and today we talked about the superhero. So these inner saboteurs, they're all things that can seemingly be there to help us and can maybe have some positive qualities to them. But if we find that they're showing up in our lives and they're not serving us and they're not allowing us to serve those that we're here to serve as fully and with as much joy as possible, that's when we really need to start looking into them. So thanks for following along to this. Again, would love to just chat with you on a free 30-minute call that's linked in the captions here or in the newsletter if that's where you got this, because I truly just love talking to people and understanding where they're at and maybe giving them some resources or, just kind of pointing them in the right direction. Or if we want to work together, if that's a great fit, fantastic. But the 30-minute free call is truly just that, just so I can just start meeting the people that are out there supporting me online. Just to get to know you and to get to know a little bit about your story. Because if you're listening to this, you have a heart to help people, obviously. And I want to help you serve them as fully as they deserve to be served in it from a positive space. So positively impacts your life. All right. So thanks for following this 5-part series. We'll be back next week with some additional content. Onward and upward, everybody. Take care.